Apache Abductions, the most shocking frontier stories. Full documentary. Through the branches of a peach tree in Sonota Valley. 1861, a 13-year-old boy watches silently below. Apache raiders herd away stolen cattle. The third time his family's ranch has been plundered. He cannot imagine that his capture today will spark the longest war in American history. A 25-year bloodshed that transforms him from terrified child to frontier legend. Native Legends and History Stories presents untold tales of the American frontier. Subscribe to explore the past. In the 1800s Southwest, Apache raiders ruled through terror and tactical brilliance. Their mastery of stealth warfare left settler communities trembling. The fortunate ones lost only livestock and provisions, but human captives faced darker destinies. Women and young children might survive through adoption or ransom, but men and teenage boys encountered deaths. Designed to send messages, Felix Ward spent his youth in this merciless frontier. Standing 5'6" but desperately thin, the one-eyed teenager had witnessed 3 brutal raids on his stepfather's Sonota Valley ranch. Each time the Apache vanished into the wilderness with their stolen cattle. The 4th raid in 1861 proved fateful. This time they claimed Felix himself. From 1872 to 1886, a formidable Apache scout called Mickey Free earned fame in major military operations. Few recognized him as Felix Ward, the stolen ranch boy who would help conclude the very conflict his kidnapping initiated. His journey from settler child to Apache warrior reflected the savage complexity of frontier existence. In later years, Felix's memories of his capture remained fragmented. Only the endless ride east, as his captors vanished into the wilderness. His tale weaves together with another haunting story. Charlie McComas, whose mysterious vanishing became one of the great unsolved riddles of the late 1800s. The Apache raiders' brutal practices served a grim necessity: warfare's high death toll forced tribes to maintain their numbers. Kidnapping emerged as a crucial survival strategy. Most male prisoners endured torture and execution, their deaths calculated to spread fear. Those few who lived underwent complete cultural transformation, embracing Apache ways as their only path forward. Felix's situation deviated from the norm. Though his age marked him for certain death, something about this gaunt, one-eyed youth captured his captor's interest. As lost barbaros, the terror of settler children's fears led him from his home, Felix confronted an unknown destiny. His childhood, already scarred by relentless Apache raids, would evolve into something unprecedented on the frontier. When John Ward discovered his stepson's disappearance, he triggered a sequence of events that would stain the frontier crimson. Within hours, Ward mounted his horse and rode the 15 miles to Fort Buchanan, pushing his mount to exhaustion through the dangerous territory. His frantic report mobilized Lieutenant George Bascom, who assembled 54 soldiers for immediate pursuit of Felix's captors. The canvas walls of a military tent at Apache Pass witnessed the unraveling of peace between two worlds. Lieutenant Bascom, having tracked the Cherokee band through their traditional eastern roots, failed to realize how new fort construction had forced all Apache groups to reshape their travel patterns. Chief Kakisi entered the tent, accompanied by his brother and 3 nephews, trusting in the diplomatic relations his people had maintained with U.S. forces. That trust shattered under Bascom's iron certainty. The lieutenant's words fell like hammer blows. "You are our prisoners until the boy is returned." Cochise's attempts to reason, his offers to help search for Felix, met an immovable wall of suspicion. Recognition flickered in Cochise's eyes. Negotiation was impossible. His hidden blade sliced through tent canvas with practiced precision. As soldiers fumbled for weapons, the chief melted into the mountain terrain. His family members remained behind in chains, their fate now tied to a boy their tribe had never taken. The next phase unfolded like a deadly chess match. Cochise selected for American hostages with care, offering them in trade for his imprisoned family. Bascom's response remained unchanged. Only Felix Ward's return would end the standoff. Faced with an impossible demand, Cochise made his move. His American captives' bodies appeared, strategically placed, bearing specific marks that spoke volumes in Apache warfare tradition. Bascom countered by hanging Cochise's family members from Apache Pass's most visible trees. This series of decisions, known as the Bascom Affair, ignited 25 years of sustained warfare. While blood soaked the frontier, Felix Ward found himself among the Coyotero Apache, his original captors either Pinal or Yuravopara raiders. According to differing accounts, had traded him to this White Mountain band. Few records exist of his early adaptation, save for words from his adopted brother John Rope, later a Medal of Honor recipient. "He was raised with me, but we always treated him like he was one of us." Felix embraced Apache ways completely. He participated in raids targeting both indigenous tribes and settler communities, though he carefully avoided U.S. military encounters. This pattern continued until 1872, when General George Crook's campaigns forced the White Mountain Apache onto designated reservations. The reservation system typically reunited captives with their original families. Felix's path diverged from this pattern. When his brother Santiago found him, he brought heavy news. Their mother and Felix's adopted father had both died during his absence. Despite Santiago's appeal to reclaim his settler identity, Felix chose to remain with his Apache family. His choice marked more than personal preference. It represented the complex reality of frontier existence. While the Bascom Affair demonstrated how cultural misunderstanding could escalate into generational conflict, Felix's integration illustrated the possibility of transcending societal boundaries. The consequences of these parallel stories rippled through frontier history. Lieutenant Bascom's rigid adherence to incorrect assumptions painted the Southwest red. Meanwhile, Felix Ward's ability to navigate between worlds would prove invaluable in the years ahead. His transformation from captive to community member challenged simplified narratives of frontier relations, where survival often required adapting to unexpected circumstances. November 1872 marked the beginning of General George Crook's program to recruit Apache scouts for the U.S. Army. Though forced onto reservations, numerous Apache warriors welcomed these positions eagerly when reservation boundaries limited their traditional practices. Scouting provided an opportunity to maintain their fighting skills and continue warrior traditions. Military officials established rigorous selection criteria for scouts. One standard procedure involved giving Apache recruits new names, as soldiers found traditional Apache names difficult to pronounce. Felix, who had retained his birth name even among the Apache, encountered a new identity that would define his future role. At 5'7" and 135 pounds, Felix possessed distinct physical characteristics that set him apart from typical Apache scouts. His light complexion and reddish-brown hair hinted at possible Irish and Mexican heritage, though historical documents never verified this. His blind eye added to his commanding presence. Military personnel, impressed by his intense character, named him after a figure from Charles O'Malley, the Irish dragon, a servant named Mickey Free. From 1872 through 1885, Mickey Free became crucial to military operations. His services were frequently requested by General George Crook, Captain Emmett Crawford, and Scout Commander Al Sieber. The Army repeatedly discovered they could not effectively locate Apache bands without scouts of Mickey's caliber. Unable to read or write, Mickey left no personal records, but his colleagues documented his capabilities extensively. Tom Horn, who served alongside him, praised his language abilities. He communicates in both Mexican and Apache with proposorial skill. Others noted how his difficulty with Spanish verb tenses often created confusion about chronological sequence. John Burke's field journals captured Mickey's dramatic negotiation style. He would rush toward Apache fighters immediately after skirmishes to begin peace discussions, sometimes while gunfire still echoed. This strategy gained military admiration but generated hostility among many Apache, especially the Chiricahua. He helped relocate to reservations. On San Carlos Reservation, Mickey's rigid rule enforcement created significant friction. He detained Apache individuals for alcohol violations and domestic violence, contradicting unwritten agreements. From the reservation's establishment, these tensions culminated in May 1885 when 150 Chiricahua, under Geronimo's leadership, escaped from San Carlos and headed toward Mexico. Chief Nana explicitly identified Mickey Free as responsible for the breakout. Reservation records preserve Nana's grievance. The Apache had received promises of non-interference with certain traditional practices, Upon moving to the reservation, Mickey's strict enforcement of regulations against drinking and domestic disputes violated these original arrangements. The military organized an extensive operation to pursue the escaped group. Mickey Free participated as both scout and interpreter. During the chase, his tracking abilities enabled multiple encounters with the band, and he took part in several surrender discussions. However, various obstacles hindered the mission. Captain Emmett Crawford's death during pursuit and a combination of alcohol use and spreading rumors undermined potential surrender agreements. These unsuccessful operations resulted in General Crook's replacement with Nelson Miles in 1885. The new commander's tactics decreased reliance on scouts, temporarily leaving Mickey Free without specific assignments. However, Miles quickly recognized Mickey's exceptional language skills and deep understanding of both cultures. He dispatched Mickey to Washington, D.C. to facilitate Apache negotiations at the federal level. Throughout diplomatic meetings, Mickey showcased his linguistic abilities, translating sophisticated political discussions between Apache representatives and government officials. His familiarity with both society's practice helped resolve critical misunderstandings. During talks, he moved effortlessly between Apache military terms and formal diplomatic vocabulary. At San Carlos, Mickey enforced reservation policies with consistent firmness. His approach attracted criticism from Apache inhabitants and certain military personnel. His arrests for alcohol possession generated particular resistance, while reservation law prohibited drinking. Many Apache considered these restrictions violations of their rights. Mickey's regular patrols discovered concealed distilleries and seized alcohol reserves. He established an information network reporting bootlegging activities and household conflicts. These efforts, though commended by military leadership, led many Apache residents to label him the worst man on reservation. By 1885, hostilities peaked. Geronimo led 150 warriors in their households from San Carlos during nighttime hours. Mickey joined the pursuit forces, immediately employing his tracking skills to follow their path toward Mexico. The pursuit involved several close encounters, with Mickey frequently approaching armed Apache groups unaccompanied to initiate surrender talks. In July 1886, Mickey Free joined a small Apache delegation to Washington. The government needed reliable interpreters, stationed near telegraph offices for when Geronimo was captured. Among the group was a scout named Sheto, whose past would intersect with another tragic frontier tale. Technical difficulties with broken telegraph lines hampered communications, but by September, news arrived of Geronimo's final surrender. Military authorities deemed the remaining Cherokee too dangerous for local imprisonment or returned to San Carlos. They transferred these Apache to a maximum security facility in Florida, Fort Marion. Even some Apache scouts like Cheto, despite their service to the U.S. Army, were sent to the Florida prison. Mickey Free spent his final assignment as interpreter at Fort Marion, translating communications for 1 month. The war that began with his own kidnapping 25 years earlier as Felix Ward had finally ended. After 1886, Mickey Free's life becomes harder to trace. Without the ability to read or write, he left no personal records of his experiences or thoughts. However, his legacy would connect to another kidnapping case that haunted the Southwest for decades. In 1924, nearly 40 years after the Apache Wars officially ended, Bronco Apache raiders struck in New Mexico. This last recorded Apache raid on American soil left one rancher dead and resulted in stolen cattle and supplies. Witnesses reported seeing a white, bearded man riding with the raiders before they disappeared into Mexico. Local speculation immediately connected him to a decades-old mystery, the fate of Charlie McComas. Charlie's story began in March 1883 near Silver City, New Mexico. The 6-year-old boy and his parents, Hamilton and Juliana McComas, were enjoying a picnic near Thompson Canyon. The location was a natural choke point that forced travelers along a specific route, a fact well known to Apache raiders. A war party of 30 men, led by Sub-Chief Cheto, had positioned themselves to ambush unsuspecting travelers. The attack came with devastating swiftness. Before the McComas family could react, raiders surrounded their horse-drawn buckboard. Hamilton McComas handed the reins to his wife, Juniana, and grabbed his rifle. He leaped from the wagon, attempting to create a diversion while his wife and son fled. His body was later discovered with 7 bullet wounds, testament to his final stand. Juniana managed to escape the initial assault, but couldn't outrun mounted warriors. Clutching young Charlie, she abandoned the wagon and tried to flee on foot. The raiders quickly overtook them. Evidence at the scene indicated she died from blunt force trauma, likely from a rifle butt. Charlie was nowhere to be found. The raiders' escape route led directly into Mexico, following a tactic that had frustrated American forces. For years, U.S. military units were prohibited from crossing the international border, allowing Apache raiders to strike and retreat with impunity. However, this pattern changed in May 1883, when a new treaty authorized U.S. forces to pursue hostile Indians into Mexican territory. General George Crook immediately launched an expedition into Mexico. While finding Charlie wasn't the mission's sole objective, the boy's recovery remained a priority. The tragic timing of this policy change, coming just months too late for the McComas family, highlighted the complex challenges of frontier law enforcement. The expedition into Mexico marked a significant shift in military strategy. For the first time, Apache raiders could no longer rely on the border as a guaranteed escape route. This change in policy would profoundly impact future raids and influence the final years of Apache resistance. However, for the McComas family, these changes came too late to prevent their personal tragedy. General Crook's expedition into Mexico included a large contingent of Indian scouts, with Mickey Free serving as one of their leaders. Within weeks, the scouts located Cheto's Rancheria, hidden in the mountains. The ensuing battle left 9 Apache dead, not just warriors but women and elderly residents. The military forces captured 5 survivors. During interrogation, one captured woman revealed that Charlie had been moved when scouts were first detected approaching the rancheria. As more local Apache groups surrendered to the army in following weeks, they claimed Charlie had fled into the mountains during the chaos of battle. John G. Burke, documenting the campaign, an Apache campaign in the Sierra Madre, recorded the official version. Charlie McComas was never found. The Chichihuas insist he was in the rancheria, destroyed by Crawford. They say he escaped into the mountains. Terror-stricken, the terrain was too rough, the timber and brushwood too thick to follow his tracks. Heavy rains and subsequent nights erased any trace. The Chiricahua maintained this story. Charlie lost in dense mountain vegetation, his tracks washed away by rain. However, evidence emerged 80 years later, suggesting a different fate. Jason Bedzinus, an Apache warrior who fought against U.S. forces in the 1880s, published The First Fought with Geronimo in 1959. His account revealed previously unknown details about Charlie's time with the Apache. According to Bedzinus, Charlie quickly learned the Apache language after his capture between March and May 1883. An Apache family took him in, treating him as their own child. They began preparing him for full tribal membership. During the May attack on the rancheria, Charlie fled with other Apache families. In the battle's confusion, scouts killed an elderly woman, mother of a warrior named Speedy. Upon discovering his mother's death, Speedy flew into a rage. He found Charlie during the escape and killed him with a rock. Bedzinus learned this from Ramona, an eyewitness to the events. The story remained untold for 80 years, until all involved parties had died. The Army's extensive search never located Charlie's body. A second possibility emerged through decades of reported sightings. While most Apache moved to reservations, by the mid-1880s isolated groups known as Bronco Apache continued living freely in the Sierra Madre Mountains. Strange reports began circulating of a bearded white man among them in 1924. Bronco Apache conducted their final recorded raid on American soil in New Mexico. They killed a rancher and stole cattle and supplies. Multiple witnesses described seeing a white, bearded man riding with the raiders before they crossed back into Mexico. In 1930, another raid on a Mexican village generated similar sightings. A breakthrough came in 1940, when military forces captured a woman who had lived among the Bronco Apache. She spoke of a white man with a beard who had died in a fight over a woman just years before the man she claimed had been stabbed, and his body thrown into a mountain pit. She led investigators to the location. The remains recovered matched the description of a white man with blue eyes and red hair. For decades, speculation persisted about whether these were Charlie's remains. The mystery spawned numerous theories about his fate. Killed as a child in 1883, or surviving to become the mysterious white Apache warrior seen in the 1920s and 30s. Mickey Free's connection to both stories, first as a kidnapped boy himself, then as a scout pursuing young Charlie, highlighted the complex web of violence and survival in the Southwest Territories. The question of Charlie McMahon's fate remained unanswered, joining other unsolved mysteries of the Apache Wars era. Multiple sightings of a white man among the Bronco Apache emerged through the early 1900s. Witnesses in 1924 described him during a New Mexico raid, where raiders killed a rancher and stole cattle and supplies. In 1930, similar accounts surfaced when Bronco Apache attacked a Mexican village. The story gained clarity in 1940 when military forces captured a woman living among these isolated Apache bands. During questioning, she revealed the white, bearded man had died just years before.